Measles. You know, it's a disease many of us probably thought was, well, largely a problem of the past in much of the world.
Hmm.
But it's making a pretty significant global comeback.
It really is.
And what's truly astonishing, I think, is how the why behind these resurgences shifts so dramatically depending on where you look, sometimes for completely opposing reasons.
Exactly.
So our deep dive today is all about exploring these distinct and, yeah, sometimes surprising drivers behind what's happening in the United States, other developed nations, and then we'll shift focus to the southern border provinces of Thailand.
And what's fascinating here, kind of woven through all these outbreaks, is the central question. Is the COVID-19 pandemic related to this resurgence? And, if so, how?
Yeah, how does that connection play out?
We'll see. The answer really changes depending on where you are.
Okay, let's start with the U.S. and other developed nations then. The figures are genuinely alarming. Between January 1st and April 17th, 2025, the U.S. reported 800 confirmed measles cases.
800.
Yeah. That's a staggering 180% increase over all of 2024. It makes it the second highest annual count in the U.S. in 25 years.
Wow. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's crucial to remember endemic measles was actually declared eliminated in the U.S. way back in 2000.
Right, meaning it wasn't constantly circulating here.
Exactly. It only entered through travel.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening now? Well, nearly all current cases, something like 96%,
Mm-hmm.
are in unvaccinated individuals or those where they just don't know the vaccination status.
Okay.
And this recent global resurgence, it's really a direct result of the COVID-19 pandemic's impact.
Oh, so specifically.
Specifically, the challenges it created in implementing routine measles vaccination services and campaigns worldwide,
Right.
that disruption.
Got it.
So this has significantly increased the risk for imported cases, mainly among U.S. residents coming back from travel abroad.
Okay.
So what this really reveals isn't just a rebound in cases, but how fragile our collective immunity can be, even in generally well-vaccinated societies, when global health systems face major disruption.
That makes sense. Elimination doesn't mean eradication.
Precisely. It's a stark reminder.
So is this global pattern just a U.S. thing, or are we seeing similar vulnerabilities pop up in other developed nations too?
No, not at all unique to the U.S.
Oh.
Canada and Mexico were also experiencing large, expanding outbreaks
Right.
in similar sort of interconnected communities.
Okay.
And while many developed nations generally have high population immunity, you see these declining vaccination rates in some U.S. areas dipping below that critical 95% threshold.
Right, the herd immunity level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that really makes communities vulnerable to these importations. And that brings up severity, too. Even with high overall immunity, 11% of U.S. patients needed hospitalization.
Wow.
And tragically, there have been 3 reported deaths. So it's not trivial.
Definitely not.
No.
So, okay, that's the alarming picture for many developed nations, kind of a direct ripple effect of global events, particularly COVID disruptions. But our deep dive shows something, well, completely different when we turn our attention to places like southern Thailand. The challenges there seem much more deeply rooted.
That's right.
Thailand had significant outbreaks back in 2018, about 4,450 suspected cases, and they're ongoing now in 2024. We're talking 4,776 suspected cases just from January to September, with 5 reported deaths.
Yeah, the situation there is persistent.
And what really stands out is how severely the 3 southern border provinces, which have Muslim-majority populations, that's Yala, Patani, and Narathiwat, how badly they've been affected. Patani, for example, saw about 142 cases per 100,000 people in 2024.
That's a very high rate.
Yeah, and strikingly low MMR vaccine coverage. Only about 52% for the first dose and just over 40% for the second.
And when you delve deeper into this region, you uncover these really unique barriers to vaccine acceptance that health personnel have identified. It gets pretty complex.
Okay, and look what?
Well, firstly, religious beliefs play a major role. There's a perceived prohibition, the idea of haram, which means forbidden in Islam. This often stems from concerns, sometimes misinformation, about vaccines potentially containing porcine products, even though Thai health officials state the imported vaccines they use are actually pig product free.
So there's a disconnect there.
A big one. And there's also sometimes a belief that illness is the will of Allah, which leads some people to view vaccination as sort of going against divine will.
Wow, that's incredibly complex. When beliefs are so deeply ingrained, how do health initiatives even begin to, bridge that gap without alienating the communities?
It's extremely challenging.
Yeah.
And then you've got personal and community disagreements kind of layered on top.
Like what?
Spousal disagreement is common. A husband's approval might be seen as crucial, but it's often absent. Sometimes because they might be traveling for religious duties, known as dawa, which often involves spreading religious teachings.
Ah, okay, so logistics and tradition intertwine.
Exactly. And then there's the strong influence of local religious leaders, the imams.
Hmm.
Some may also advise against vaccination based on those same haram beliefs. So the crucial insight here is just how deeply intertwined public health is with these cultural nuances, trust, and community leadership dynamics. It's not just about getting vaccines to people.
It goes way beyond just access. These community and family dynamics, the influence of religious leaders, spousal approval, it creates this multi-layered challenge.
Precisely. And finally, on top of all that, misinformation and mistrust are pretty rampant.
In what way?
Parents fear even minor vaccine side effects like a fever or some pain at the injection site. They worry about how it might impact their daily life, maybe stop them from working for a day.
Okay.
And there's this significant misperception that measles itself isn't actually that severe. It's often seen as less worrying than the potential, usually minor, vaccine side effects.
Which is a dangerous underestimation of measles.
Absolutely.
So it truly highlights that a general lack of knowledge and these negative attitudes are also predominant reasons for incomplete childhood immunizations down there in the deep south of Thailand.
Yeah, it's a whole combination of factors.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean? We've seen measles surging in both the U.S. and Thailand, right? But the why behind it is remarkably different.
Completely different context.
In the U.S., it's largely connected to those global vaccination program disruptions linked to COVID-19 and these pockets of low coverage making communities vulnerable to imported cases.
Right, logistical and systemic issues, primarily.
But then in Thailand, particularly the South, it's rooted in these deeply personal, cultural, and religious beliefs, really amplified by misinformation and mistrust. Two completely different battlegrounds for the same disease.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it just highlights so clearly that preventing outbreaks isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of solution. What works in one place might completely fail in another.
A crucial point.
And this raises, I think, an important question for you, the listener. How do we effectively bridge these really diverse gaps? Whether they're logistical, like we see from the COVID fallout, or educational, or deeply cultural, like in southern Thailand. How do we do that effectively to ensure global health security without just imposing solutions from afar?